Hello, welcome to iCreate Live. I'm Jimmy Hayes and I'm here with Ross Andrews and Stephen Ashby.
Hi. Hey guys.
Today we're going to talk about iPad 2. Yesterday was the big event, the keynote, and Steve came back to do it. He seemed excited to do so.
That was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that so much.
No.
I was thinking we're hoping a brief appearance from Steve, but he took the whole keynote virtually, didn't he?
Yeah. He practically said, there's no way I'm not doing it.
Yeah, that's good. Because he's passionate about it. He loves these products.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the things that obviously Apple will miss when he ever decides to step down, is the fact that this figurehead that is Steve Jobs is there to champion the products that they have.
And such a good speaker.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Engaging.
Wouldn't have been the same without him, would it?
No, absolutely.
No way.
So yeah, that was the first element of the excitement of last night, and then of course we had the announcement itself, iPad 2, available in 2 colours, and what they've done with it is pretty extraordinary, don't you think?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you look at the iPad 1, and I remember when it came out thinking, great, what are they going to do next? Because this looks like the perfect device. You can't imagine how they're going to make it better. The cameras, that was the obvious. You expected that on the 1, it had to be there on the 2, so that's a good thing to see. But it's not like you could make it that much thinner, it's not like you could make it that much lighter, only they have made it thinner and they have made it lighter. I think that's pretty astounding.
Yeah, and do you think Apple have got some sort of voodoo magic going on? Because they seem to be able to do this time after time. They make a device we think is perfect, and then they make it more perfect.
Oh yeah, definitely voodoo magic. Yeah, I think they've managed to. I probably think they had that in the works for a while. I think they've known what they were going to do.
Yeah, a year ago, you've got to think they had the iPad 1 and the iPad 2 next to each other, and some guy there's going, no, we should definitely go with this thinner one. It's thinner, it's got the cameras, and somebody stood there and went,
in a suit.
Hey, no, this one would be better. We'll go with this one first, and then next year we can do that one, and then year 3 we'll really have to start working.
And they'll probably have the iPad 3 ready now,
yeah,
by that logic. So, just good to know that we're already behind.
And some of the interesting things about the new iPad, despite being much thinner and much lighter, are that the specs they far exceed what the iPad 1 can do at the moment.
Yeah, I mean the processor I was expecting, so we're talking, it's an A5.
Yeah, dual core, 1.2 gigahertz processor.
That's more powerful than most other tablets.
Yes, that's twice as fast as the original iPad is what
that's
right,
yeah.
Isn't it?
And that's as fast as a lot of netbooks that are out there.
Yeah. But that I was expecting, the processor jump, I think 2 times faster, brilliant. I mean, the iPad already fills pretty fast, so this thing has got to feel blistering. I mean, we'll get onto that in a minute, because you've had a hands-on, so you've played with it. But the graphics performance, the graphics jump 9 times faster.
Yeah, 9 times faster.
For something that can already run Infinity Blade. I mean, that's a good-looking game.
Yeah.
What a game's going to look like on the iPad 2.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. I mean, the thing that's going to let it down is the display technology, which hasn't really changed.
Yeah, I mean, it has still got IPS, obviously. That's still in there. So it's going to be as good, but it's not going to be any better, which is a big disappointment.
I mean, it's a disappointment, but I think it's one I think we were all expecting, because you look at it and you go, Retina display, that size in that machine, very, very expensive.
Battery,
and also battery, it's going to kill the battery.
So basically the pressure's now on the developers to make the games look better. Apple have done what they can for them.
I mean, it's still HD, it's still close to HD, near 720, so that's pretty good, that's pretty good for gaming.
Yeah, so I mean, those are the speed jumps that we expected. There isn't any change in the amount of storage you get on the iPad, but given how thin it is, that's quite an accomplishment in itself.
And also, there just hasn't been that price decrease from, the top end 64 gig. It's not like 128 gig flash memory has plummeted in price over the past year.
Absolutely.
It's still pretty pricey, so that doesn't surprise me so much.
And Apple have kept the price of the iPad 2 the same.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they're still continuing to sell the first one at a cheaper price.
Yeah, for a little while. I don't think it's going to be a 3G, 3GS thing or the iPhone 4 3GS thing where they continue selling it for a year as the budget iPad. I think it will drop off the store eventually. But for now, if you want to get an iPad and you want to go in the lowest entry point, buy the iPad 1, because that's a ridiculously good price they're selling for right now.
And before we talk about the software changes that occurred, we're going to take a minute to talk about just how aggressively Apple are talking about this market. Obviously, the iPad itself is, quite a product, and the iPad 2 now is even more of a product. But Steve was really keen to hammer home last night just how far ahead of the competition Apple are. Do you see anyone being able to catch up?
No, I think they're still playing catch up with the iPad 1. I think that's the point he was making, a lot of that. I thought it wasn't the classiest Apple presentation they've ever done, because usually he doesn't mention competitors so much. But you can see the point he's making. The iPad 1 has been out a year, and you still haven't got a viable alternative to it from any of the competitors. You've got Android 3, you've got Honeycomb coming out now. it's playing catch up with a device that's a year old, and now they've just trashed that device and said, here's something thinner, lighter, far faster.
What are you going to do
Now
about
catch
it?
up with this.
Yeah.
So Steve, one of the things that Steve was keen not to do was to really slate the hardware in the new products, in the competitor products.
Yeah.
But what he did do was make statements about the way they were approaching their business, because they're copying Apple. They're not trying to invent themselves. Do you see that as the fundamental flaw in the process there?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it was quite noticeable when Nokia and the Microsoft thing all started kicking off a few weeks ago, when they started talking about ecosystems and how they were trying to copy the Apple hardware without actually building the ecosystem as a whole. So they didn't have the App Store there. They weren't trying to focus on that. They were just trying to make a better product, which they did do, but they arguably did do, but they didn't actually have the software to back it up.
Yeah.
So I think Apple had a huge head start because they already had the iPhone and iOS pretty much sorted.
Yeah.
They had 3 years expertise at building up the App Store. They already had hundreds of thousands of apps on there, and then they released the iPad.
Hundreds of thousands of credit card info.
Exactly.
200 million.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous.
So now
like that.
they've just had to release the iPad and say, well, it's the same system. Go download your apps.
And price is an important issue, because Steve Jobs also mentioned that. He said, if you look at the competitors, none of them are matching the iPad.
That's what you think. You think the traditional way is Apple do something good, everybody goes, that's good, and does it cheaper.
Yeah.
But
The
they
Zoom,
just
for
don't seem to be
example.
able to manage it.
Yeah.
The Motorola Zoom is it $800 or something?
And people did say when the first iPad came out, it's a bit expensive
Yeah.
because it's not a netbook, it's not a proper computer.
Yeah.
But there isn't a challenger in the price
No, that was
market.
the jaw-dropping thing with the Galaxy Tab. That was the first real competitor that came out, and everybody went, here comes the Galaxy Tab, here comes the Galaxy Tab, it's going to be great. How much?
Yeah.
It's more than an iPad, That's not the way it traditionally worked.
It was quite a shock when they announced the price, because obviously a lot of the rumours that were flying around was, it's going to be $1,000 for this device, and then it was a big announcement. When they made the announcement, Steve looked pretty pleased with himself, because it dropped down onto the screen $499, and everyone sort of went, wow. There was a few gasps from the audience. Which
Well,
was
Apple credit the Apple stores for allowing them to do that, because Apple don't need to go to other resellers and say, please sell my product for me. They just throw it into the Apple Store. Not only that, they let people play with it all day, and then those people just say, oh my god, wow, I've seen it, I've touched it, I've played with it, I'm going to buy one.
Yeah, I still don't think I've met someone who's played with an iPad and hasn't then gone, this is really good,
Yeah,
I really want one.
Yeah.
It's once you get it in your hands and you start interacting with it, you go, this is great.
And then I can tell you from experience that the iPad 2, people are going to do...
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, tell us all about it.
Spill.
The thing with it is that you can't believe how light it is. With the original iPad, the back is obviously aluminium, and it really feels like a metal object.
Yeah.
You feel that it's got this
It's
chunk
solid,
of metal.
isn't it? Yeah.
But the iPad 2 feels like it's just like I don't know, it's really hard to explain. It's almost as though they've managed to do something with the metal itself to make it thinner.
So does it feel cheap? I mean, does it feel
No,
flimsy?
not at all. Absolutely, totally rigid. As much so as the original iPad.
But without the bulk?
But without any of the bulk.
That's crazy.
It really does. You just can't, honestly, you can't believe it, because you lift it and you think, oh my god, it's just so light. And then with the new cases that fold over, it feels like a complete product.
That's the stunning thing, because I think Apple, we've all got kind of used to it. Their hardware brilliant, their software brilliant, their peripherals.
Yeah, busy.
The iPod Hi-Fi.
Yeah.
The original iPad case, not so great.
Yeah.
iPod socks, we don't really need to go into that too
Yeah,
much. But the smart case, I'm almost more excited about that, because the video, I was just watching it last night, got my wife over to watch it, and just say,
impressive.
just look at this.
Click. I think that's what's most exciting, is that the fact you can just pull it straight off, rather than having to go through the whole rigmarole of undoing clasps and yanking it out of your case and then going, oh, here's my iPad after 5 minutes. You can literally just go, what?
But that shouldn't be so excited. We shouldn't be standing here
No, we
talking
shouldn't.
about.
No, but what you have to remember is that, when Apple design products, they actually design them for themselves as much as anyone else. So all those guys walking around Apple campus with an iPad going, which case have you got? And they go, I've gone through like 6 cases in 6 months, because none of them are perfect. And so they've said, right, well, when we build iPad 2, let's give it the perfect case, because we need something.
In the office, I mean, we get loads of iPad cases, and we have to try them all out, obviously, and review them.
Oh, we have.
We still haven't found the perfect
No,
case.
yeah,
there's still not one
true.
case that we've
it's
gone,
true.
this, and I'm never going to change it, because this is perfect.
This is.
Yeah.
Case goes on, case goes off.
Yeah.
And it
Goes
works,
on,
and it
case
sleeps
goes
and
off.
wakes it. It's
That's
like,
brilliant.
it is.
But
so-
also,
so
I mean, there's been a
calm.
lot of people detracting from Apple saying, right, Apple have killed third-party vendors right now. Nobody can make cases anymore. No one will bother. You think, well, no, this isn't proprietary. It's not Apple's own magnets. They haven't reinvented magnetism. Anybody can make a case that works with these magnets. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out.
And it's not bundled with the iPad.
Yeah.
So you have to buy it. So if there is a cheaper, better alternative, then you're going to go with that, aren't you?
Yeah, it'd be exciting to see what people do, I think.